Today, we're going to tackle one of the most confusing and critical aspects of retirement planning. It's everybody's favorite subject, Medicare. And why is it everybody's favorite subject? Well, you pay into it from the time you start working. So 16, 17, 18 years old, when you get that first job, you're paying into Medicare. And you do that the rest of the time that you're working. It's going to come out of your paycheck. It's part of that FICA thing. And, when you talk to friends who approach 65, they're often feeling a little overwhelmed because Medicare can feel a little complex. There's the alphabet soup, part A, B, C, D, then there's G plan or what. It's all over the place. So we're going to unpack it for you. By the way, you found Retire Colorado with Alicia and Josh Lewis. I'm Bruce Steinbrock. Reach out to the Lehman Lewis team, 970-446-1234. All right, Alicia, let's talk about the alphabet soup that is Medicare. And Medicare open enrollment period. It gets a lot of play on television commercials and advertising that comes to your mailbox or your email, or you see it on when you're searching things online. The open enrollment period, October 15th to December 7th every year. Let's talk about an important thing that folks need to understand to avoid costly mistakes when it comes to Medicare.
Well, I think, back to your point of, man, why does it have to be so confusing? And, people come in and they're like, look at this stack of mailers that I've gotten from all these people that, want to talk to me about my Medicare. And it's so confusing. The thing is it doesn't have to be confusing. But there are some things that you need to know about so that you're doing it properly, you're doing it timely, because some of the mistakes that could be made could follow you for the rest of your life. And we don't want that to happen. And I'll just tell you right now, I never want to be the jack of all trades, master of none, right? So because of that, we have somebody on our team that is all he does is Medicare. And the reason being is because we kept hearing people, our clients specifically, saying, oh, I've got to deal with this and I'm confused. And so we decided this is something, it's important enough for retirement that we have somebody on our team that does that.
But that's the beautiful thing though, Alicia, the business that you built with, your dad started and you built with him is the fact that you continue to evolve. You understand there's more than just X, Y, and Z. I mean, Medicare being part of that.
Absolutely. And, a lot of times people think, oh, I have my plan for retirement. I have my, investment advisor. And we're like, well, what's your plan? And they come in and they show us just their investments. Right. And it's interesting that people don't realize what goes into retirement until they're there, because they're so used to working with an investment advisor. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they're just looking down this hole of what investments you should be in, where what we're looking at is the big picture of investments, income, healthcare, taxes, legacy. So there's a whole bunch more that has to do with retirement. And so when we talk about healthcare, Medicare is one of the three healthcare areas that we, help people walk through and deal with so that they are getting the proper care or the proper plan and the proper care, because it can be very costly if they don't.
Yeah. And you talked about lifetime penalties. So you have the 3 months before your 65th birthday and the 3 months after. So a 7-month period there. But if you miss with some of the deadlines, as Alicia said, permanent lifetime penalties, which to me is ridiculous. I understand penalizing people, but not for the rest of their life. Part B, there's just things you have to learn. So, Josh, let's talk about the lifetime penalties for missing a deadline. We've heard people say they're just going to sign up for the parts that they need when they need them, and that might not be the smart thing to do. So, for instance, someone might think, I don't take prescription medication, so I don't need to sign up for Part D. Explain why this thinking could potentially be a serious financial mistake.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of interesting, right? People go, well, I don't need any prescriptions. And in my mind, I'm like, right now.
Not yet.
Because when you look at kind of broad stroke of the brush, most Americans, it's something like 70% of Americans are on some type of prescription medication. So it's a significant portion of the population. Obviously, as we get older, say 65 plus, the likelihood of needing some type of, regular ongoing prescription medication is pretty high. When you look at the Part D penalties, so it's actually, and Part D for the drugs, right? So that's D.
It's the only one that matches up.
Kind of fun. Exactly, right? So easy one to remember. But here's the thing: if you guys are in that camp and say, well, gosh, I don't need anything right now, well, you may eventually need that. So there's actually a penalty. It's a 1% monthly premium increase for each month you go without coverage. And this is something that's going to compound over time. So if you put this off for a long period of time, that's just going to build on top of it. So it could mean massive penalties. When you think about, say, like a 5-year delay on that, that means your premiums could be 60% higher forever. So we're talking about the rest of your lifetime. So dramatic increase there. So if you don't need it now, we would recommend you get a low cost Part D plan as insurance really against the penalties of the future. So we think that's pretty prudent when you look at just the baseline of that. It's just shy of $14 for that premium right now. So it's pretty inexpensive insurance in terms of that. So obviously prescription medication, it's highly unpredictable whether you're going to need it or not. So really kind of applying and getting that protection before you need it, I think is going to be extremely prudent for a lot of people.
And not having that's like driving without car insurance. Like nobody does that. Or you would hope nobody does
bet
that.
People do.
Because they're like, oh, I'm not going to get in a car accident. Well, we want to hope for the best, plan for the worst. Always.
Yeah. No doubt. By the way, if you're not taking notes today with Alicia and Josh, they've written it all down for you. All about Medicare it starts at page 10 and goes through about, page 17 here, as it talks about. And what I'm talking about is Colorado's Peace Out, Retire into Your Go-Go Years, the book that is penned by Alicia and Josh. And so they have notes about the Medicare and so much more in the book. Just reach out and request your copy of the book. They're going to throw in some great informational guides as part of the Retire Colorado Toolkit. Just call 970-446-1234, or you can text the word KIT, K-I-T, to 970-446-1234, or we'll give you another option. Go to lehmanlewis.com. And right there on the web, you can make a request. You can meet Alicia, Josh, and the team, see their smiling faces, and learn so much more about the Lehman Lewis Financial Group. It's lehmanlewis.com. All right. We're talking Medicare and IRMAA. Yeah, everybody's favorite Auntie Irma. So we have Uncle Sam and we have Auntie Irma. Let's talk about the potential surprise that consists here, Alicia, relationship between income and Medicare premiums. Many retirees are shocked when they discover Medicare costs are a little higher than they expected. What's happening with this?
Yeah, so this is a big one, especially when it comes to retirement planning. And a lot of people don't realize that their income can bump you up into the next tier of IRMAA, which would then cost you more money for your Medicare. It affects that. So when we are doing any type of tax planning, maybe it's a Roth conversion, or maybe it's just even the distribution for income of where's your income coming from, how much income do you need, and of that income, is it taxable? When we're looking into that, that's where it could potentially bump you into the next IRMAA tier, which I am still shocked at how many people don't realize that that is a thing. And many people are like, why is this, I got dinged and it's more expensive. And we're like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I wish you would have talked to us a year ago. We would have helped you be more strategic about this. Now, not always being bumped into the higher IRMAA tier is horrible. Sometimes it is part of the plan, which we had that just recently. We kind of did the math with some clients that we were saying, this just makes sense. And here's why. We did the math and we said, here are some Roth conversions that we would recommend. And it's going to bump you up and it's going to cost this much money for 2 years. But then over the long haul of taxes, this is how much you're going to save. And they were like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. But sometimes people come in and they're like, I had no idea. And we're like, oh, shoot. I wish we would have met you a year or two ago so that you wouldn't have to pay that for 2 years. So it is important to know what you're doing, where your income is coming from, because it not only affects your taxes, but it affects the cost of the Medicare. So lots that goes into that.
Yeah, timing and that 2-year look back, Josh, for your modified adjusted gross income. So the MAGI, which people may or may not completely understand. But, if you're converting Roth, you want to do that strategically because it does create a taxable event. And so the timing of it all is so key. How do you help clients wade through these big considerations so they don't cause themselves an IRMAA problem?
Yep. The easy answer is mathematics. But you look at those things, right? And you say, okay, here's kind of the price of admission, if you will. And you look at the numbers, for 25, it's $212,000 if you're married filing jointly. So if you go above that, you're going to hit that first IRMAA tier, which isn't super expensive. Between Part B and D, that's really where IRMAA is going to get you, is on your Part B and D premiums. You're going to jump up about $85 between the two. So it's not wildly expensive, and that's going to get you up to $266,000. But when you start moving up those brackets, it can get just dramatically expensive where, IRMAA could be $400, $500, $600 a month that they're taking off the top of your Social Security benefit. That's typically how most people find out about IRMAA is, maybe they engage in like the sale of a house or something like that. And a lot of times it's kind of this one-off thing that all of a sudden is going to spike their MAGI, and they have no idea about it. When we go through a lot of that planning, that's where we're going to look at kind of those numbers and really determine, is the juice worth the squeeze, so to speak, and say, hey, if we jump this IRMAA tier, it's going to cost you and your spouse, if you're similar in age, this $80-some a month for a period of 2 years. But when we, forecast that over the next 20 years, here's what it's going to save you in taxes. And so we get to have those conversations in just a very sort of basic, pragmatic fashion to determine, hey, are you comfortable with this? Knowing that, hey, this is kind of what the additional cost is for a window of time. Meanwhile, here's going to be that long-term benefit. And so really kind of just walking through that with a lot of families really helps them be empowered to kind of make those decisions and go, yeah, we're comfortable with that extra expense, knowing that it's going to save us X amount in taxes. So really kind of just walking through that, understanding really the composition of those things, how long it's going to last, when the look backs happen. We really got to make kind of an educated decision on how that's going to impact the overall plan and make sure that the client's comfortable with that additional cost over that period of time.
Yeah. In fact, if you want to reach out and explore this more, just we'll give you the phone number here in just a moment, and you can reach out and sit down with the Lehman Lewis team and talk all things retirement income planning, including Medicare. More Retire Colorado is straight ahead.